kids cry because at some point a child will cry. Na kwanza ni twins. So moja kianza kulia, mwingine anaanza kulia pia. As much as the kids cry, I can say that the housekeeper, their maid, is really doing a good job in terms of just trying to calm them, you know, wasilie sana. So I mean, to that end, I guess there's nothing much you can do about it, except just live with it or move out, you know. I really hate it, like, when it's quiet like this and I'm sitting in the living room just concentrating, just focusing on something, and then just out of the blue and I said, "Wah!" Oh my god, it startles me. Like, it's bad. It's bad. Inanishtuanga sana. So in my head I'm thinking, well, I really love living here. However, I cannot continue staying in such an environment. But then I thought, before I decide on moving or not, I was like, let me talk to the landlord, because I was thinking, well, wako wengi sana, hizi house kubwa, so they're probably not staying here for that long. They're probably looking for a bigger house or more space or whatever, you know. Came to realize they actually moved from a 1-bedroom to this house, which means ihao kwao ni upgrade already, which means in my head I'm now thinking, yeah, the chances of them moving out are nil. So then it means that it's up to me to start looking for another place to live. Now, that was not the rant that I wanted to give. That was simply a preamble so that you can actually understand where this rant is coming from. Sasa, ever since I came back to our new neighbors, ilikuwa sometimes, like during the day especially, nilikuwa nasikia nika kuna gongwa, you know. So in my head I'm thinking, well, they're new neighbors, so they probably have things to fix in the house, so there will be a bit of banging. So it happened like that until on Saturday yenye imepita. In the morning nasikia kunaanza kugongwa, and when I'm saying kuna gongwa, it feels like, you know, like construction, like someone is hammering on something, but then it's not like flowing like mtu anagonga hammer, nika inagongwa mara mbili, like haina flow. Then hiyo asubuhi it drove me nuts because it was like at 7 in the morning. It's so quiet and it's on a Saturday. I'm like, kwani watu wameanza mjengo 7 asubuhi? Like, what the hell? Nimevumilia during the day, but now this is getting out of hand. So nikatoka bedroom, nikakuja hivi living room. Then I started really listening to the noise that was coming. Then I realized kukibangiwa unasikia ni kama shaker in a follow, something like a shaker. Then I realized, oh, si mjengo, they're not having a construction. It's the kids, it's the twins. I'm assuming it's the twins because sauti moja natoka side ingine pia iko na sauti ingine. So they're both banging on the wall. Then I was like, oh my god, this whole time it was not construction. So I was trying to give them grace. Kumbe ni watu hiyo walikuwa nagonga ukuta. So for me, I just took whatever was here, pia mimi nikaanza kugonga, just knocking back for them to know, hey, I can actually hear. Like kama hamja realize, you're actually disturbing me. So the moment I did that like once or twice, imagine the banging stopped, ikaisha, because it's like they got the message like, guys, stop banging. After hiyo, during the day, nimekaa hapa, the same banging starts again. This time inatoka hii side ingine ya kitchen na ingine na huku mwisho, which means the kids are just moving around, just banging the walls. And I was like, aya, these guys are not serious. So nikatoka, nikaenda hapo, nikamwambia, nikanock. Then I guess it's the mwenye nasema their relative who now came out, the guy. Nikamwambia, please, watoto wanagonga ukuta sana na akinikelele, tafadhali mwache. Then I was like, okay, sawa, nitawaambia waache. And it stopped. Until now, yesterday, jana, hapa ndio penye story ilishika moto. So jana, nimekaa hapa, niko tu na makazi zangu tu na shughuli. Zikaanza saa zinagongwa. When I'm telling you, it's like a construction site. Miss Ju atoto baba alisema yuko 8 months, but it's 8 months of strength. Atoto wanagonga. And then, you know, if you're living in a quiet environment, ata kitu yenye usually would not be that loud, if the area is already quiet, ata kelele kidogo will sound really, really loud, right? So nasikia watoto wanaanza hivyo kugonga. I'm like, okay, first of all, I think mnaifanya intentionally, because I've literally already told you that when the kids bang the wall, I can hear. You know, I've come to you, I've already told you about it. So if it's happening again, it means you're now just doing it on purpose. I was like, okay, this is now getting out of hand. Let me go one more time to request them to stop letting their children bang on the wall, right? Nikaenda Kufika mimi naanza ni nani, nikamwambia it's your neighbor. Nikasikia amekaa kidogo, akaenda akaita. Thank God the father of the house alikuwa, baba wa nyumba alikuwa, akakuja. And I think he already knew what I was coming in for, because he was coming out already a bit aggressive, already knowing what I was about to complain about. So of course nikamwambia why I'm there. Nikamwambia please stop your kids from banging on the walls. So nikaona nizile za like he's trying to compose himself and trying to make me understand, to try and explain to me what parenting means. Akaanza kuniambia, I'm sorry, but could you please just check and just see how old these kids are? Nikaangalia. Akaniambia, see, they're twins, they're 8 months old. Hata ndio jana nilijua wako 8 months. Ni watoi they're walking on, wanajishikilia ni wakitembea. They're 8 months old. And then ananiambia, there's nothing I can do about it. They're kids and they're playing. Nikamwambia, I don't blame your kids for playing. Kids will be kids and they must play. However, must they bang on the wall? Is that the only game that your kids can play? So ananiambia, but madam, how do you expect me to stop the kids from playing? They're kids. There's nothing I can do about it. And I'm like, but you're the father. Don't you have authority? Whoa, I am telling you, the moment nilimuuliza, don't you have authority? It's like nilinotice nimeguza mali. Nimeguza that Camille ego. Nimekaguza. So I'm like, those are kids. They're expected to act that way. And then he's like, so what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Huh? What do you want me to do about it? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have kids. However, you're the father. You should know what to do. So he's like, there's nothing I can do about it. They're kids. I can't stop them from banging on the walls. And I'm like, at this point, Nikona, we can't negotiate. We can't talk anymore. I think we're past that stage. So I just asked him, do you want a hostile neighbor? Kamuliza tu Rosafi, because at that point I was thinking of, I'll tell you what I was thinking of doing if this talking was not going to work. But I was like, do you want a hostile neighbor? And then he thought about it. Like I could see in his head, he thought about it for like 2 or 3 seconds. And then we continued talking. Now he changes the story. He's like, so now you're blaming my kids for playing with toys. I'm like, I don't blame your kids for anything. And if it's the toys that's making the noise, can't you just buy them different toys? Is this the only game that your kids can play? So I told him, put yourself in my shoes. Assuming that you were working from home and I had kids and my kids would bang on the wall every few minutes while you're trying to work, how would that make you feel? So after that, he was like, okay, I'll see what to do. And let me tell you, Maina, sijasikia banging. Since your time yenye tuonge, mpaka saa hivi vile tunaongea, those kids have not banged on the wall, not once. Turns out there are other games that those kids could play. Imagine, during your story yote, all the dad had to do was just take away the toy. That was it. And give the child another toy. Yes, they're going to cry for that toy, but they'll cry for it for like 2 minutes, and then they'll start liking the other toy. Or give them toys that doesn't require banging. Like if you know your kid likes banging on things, then give them something softer so that it doesn't make the noise. Imagine that's all they needed to do, to just take the toys away from the kids so that they stop banging on the wall. That's it. That's all I was asking for. Nilikuwa nimesha declare Cold War. You know, I have a hammer in my house as well. Nilikuwa tunangoja saa zile nasikia watoto wametulia, which means najua wamelala. That's when I take my hammer and I just start banging on my wall, just randomly, just banging, just constantly, mpaka watoto waamke. And I'll be doing that repeatedly until they come to my door and say, hey, please stop the banging. And then I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, you could hear the banging? Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know the banging was such a bother. So I was narrating to Alex his story of what happened with the neighbor. And then he made me realize something that I had not picked up. Because I was like, every time alikuwa kijaribu kusema kitu nampiga tu na fact, you know, like nilikuwa tu nampiga tu na fact, like, do you want me to raise your child with for you, you know? Like, you're the father, you should have authority, you should know what to do, you're the dad, you know? And Alex was like, in society, or probably Alex just for him, said, the man, the neighbor, he didn't expect a comeback. and it made so much sense, because usually people that have kids, they usually just feel like when you say nimtoto, it's a child, that people will just back off. It could be a child misbehaving to the maximum, but the moment the parent just says, oh, nimtoto, it's a child, people just back away. A man did not expect me to stand there and force him to take his own responsibility, because he was trying to push it to the kids, like, well, it's a child, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, a child is a child, but you're an adult. It's your job to train your child. I feel like this happens so frequently, where parents are already so immune to the noise. I mean, they're used to listening to Cocomelon for 8 hours. They're used to the screaming. They don't really consider that you may be living next to a neighbor that does not appreciate Cocomelon, a neighbor that does not appreciate the screaming. It's like parents always just expect you to just go with it because, well, it's a child. I think as a society, we've been forced to just put up with this nonsense for years, because parenthood is like ni kama religion, you know, like usi question maneno ya Mungu. That's why ata pastor kikuja anza kuleta church hapo, usi question because ni religion. And this is not all parents, so I don't want parents to be coming for me. If this does not apply to you, then it's not you that I'm talking about. I'm talking to people that it applies to. So some parents, they feel like, well, it's a child. You know, what do you want me to do? The same way as a pastor will set up a church and there's like, it's the gospel. What do you want me to do? What's wrong with you? Some parents take it that way, like, it's a child that's crying. It's a child that's banging the wall. What's wrong with you? Like, it's a child. What's wrong with you? Like, they try to make it seem that you, the complainer, you that are having to take in the noise, you're the one in the wrong. Such gaslighting. This whole ordeal really started making me think, but where did all this come from? Where did all this privilege come from? And it reminded me, nakumbuka tukiwa primary, I think it was in GHC or CRE, tulikuwa tunaulizwa ati, if a pregnant woman gets into a bus and the bus is full, what should I do? And the answer, the correct answer, and this was actually an examinable question, the answer was, you should give up your seat, you know? And I'm like, okay, I understand that, but the question that we never asked after that is, why is this pregnant woman getting into a bus that's full in the first place? This privilege is like, it's everywhere. Utaingia, umelipia kiti yako vizuri, umekaa, umetulia, mama atakuja, amebebana na watoto watatu, amelipia kiti moja, and expect umbebe mtoto mmoja. And you, being the stranger that you are, you can either choose to say yes or say no. However, if you, my dear sister, decides to say, no, I really do not want to hold your baby, you know, mimi sitaki kubeba mtoto wako, everyone will start looking at you as if you're the one in the wrong. Like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you that you do not want to carry a stranger's baby? Ni nini mbaya na wewe? People act as if every time someone is pregnant or if they have kids, we should all stop. All our lives should just stop. And then you should just relinquish all our rights. And then everything is about them from this point moving forward. Oh, our Lord and Savior. Many pregnant women don't realize that when someone gives up their seat for you, it's an honor. It's not a right. It's an honor. And you can never force someone to honor you. So when someone is giving up the seat, when someone is letting you go before them, because you have kids, it's an honor they're bestowing on you. This is not a right. It's your right. It was never your right. I sincerely feel like there are parents who have this mentality of, well, if I cannot sleep because my kids are bothering me, why should you sleep and you don't have kids? You know, I feel like at the back of their minds, that's how they reason. Like, the kids are banging, well, I'm taking the noise. Why can't you take the noise? And I think it also stems from the fact that they feel like they're doing us a favor. They're doing society a favor. Like, mini meza, so you just have to live with this because I am helping you. I am helping society. So if I cannot sleep because the kids are crying, why should you sleep? You should also be awake. There are parents who have this mentality of, well, if I cannot sleep because my kids are bothering me, why should you sleep and you don't have kids. You know, I feel like at the back of their minds, that's how they reason. Like, the kids are banging, well, I'm taking the noise. Why can't you take the noise? And I think it also stems from the fact that they feel like they're doing us a favor. They're doing society a favor. Like, mini meza, so you just have to live with this because I am helping you. I am helping society. So if I cannot sleep because the kids are crying, why should you sleep? You should also be awake. And then there's this other group, they don't care for their neighbors at all. My friend was telling me how they live in this housing estate, balconies and everything. And this mama had a newborn. Kama alikuwa na koli kama ni nini, but alikuwa nalia throughout. So unajua kama ni usiku, the whole estate imenyamaza, si ndio? So this mama, what she do, mtu yake anza kulia, anatoka na mtoto, anaenda naye kwa balcony, anafunga mlango. Now the whole estate is awake because uko kwa balcony with a screaming child, so everybody can now hear the child. Then akiambiwa aingie kwa nyumba na mtoto because you're now causing disturbance for everyone. She's like, well, my husband amesema nikuja kwa balcony because he has to work in the morning. So mtoto akiwa ndani ya nyumba anampigia kelele. You guys, just think without the box for a second. Just remove that box for a second. And do you see how crazy it is for someone to be mad at you for refusing to carry their baby? Like, madam, wewe ni stranger, sijui wewe ni nani, sitaki kubeba mtoto wako. How is that wrong of me? Like, I don't want to carry a stranger's baby. How is that? How am I wrong? How? All I'm saying is, wewe kuzaa is not a favor. Sisi haujatusaidia. Wewe umezaa, it was your own choice. Sawa. So stop walking around as if we, society, we owe you. We owe you nothing. Imagine hatuku owe anything. Guys, I recently learned that Airbnb changed their policy to, you cannot, as a host, you cannot say, I don't accept kids. So before, you could filter out and you can say, my property does not accept. But apparently, people went to court and said that's discrimination against parents. So you cannot have a property that does not allow kids. So on the app itself, as a host, you cannot say, I don't allow kids. However, you can maybe just directly decline that booking because people have kids. And it really got me wondering about imaneno yote, like having child-free estates and child-free flights and just child-free holidays in Nairobi that are actually child-free, though it's not something that would be announced. It would be just more of, during the interview, they'll ask you, do you have kids? Then they'll decline, but they won't say it's because of the kids. Reason being that you can actually be taken to court because that is discrimination against parents. Isasa, mina shanga, like, why wouldn't parents be happy to have a section that is just their own? A section where all the kids can play together and the mummies and daddies can interact and talk about, I don't know, things that parents normally talk about. Why can't parents be happy that we now have, like, family housing, because that's mostly how it's advertised, kind of housing where you can raise your family. If we can have child-friendly estates, why can't we have child-free estates? As in, kila mtoto achague penye anataka kuenda. We talk about child-free flights. Some parents are complaining because they're saying, well, that's unfair because my kid doesn't make noise. So why should I sit in a flight full of kids when my child is behaved? So you see, now it will start bringing this whole problem of, okay, whose child is behaved, whose child is not behaved. Like, we don't care. We just don't want to sit with your kids. And this just goes to show how misery loves company. Because if you think about it, why should you care that you're having child-free flights? Why should you care? Oh, hiyo ni flight yenye akubalishi watoto. Hiyo ni flight ya watu wazima peke yake. Why should you care that there's child-free flight? Why should you care that there's child-free housing? That there's an estate where they don't allow kids? As a parent, why should you care? I think you're caring because you're thinking, why are they happy? Why do they get to enjoy? Why? Guys, that comment just reminded me of something that I actually witnessed. I actually witnessed this na macho yangu. There was a time I was at a salon in Nairobi getting my things done. Then this mama comes in, amebeba mtoi. Mtoi ko around 2-3 years hapo. Kadem, ka cute, kasuku. But uyo mtoi ni wale wa kusumbua. Unajua wa kusumbua kabisa. Unajua kuna wale watu wenye you can come with your child to the salon, ukimweka tu hapo na umpatie tablet, ataka tu hapo, like the child won't do anything. Kuna wale tu wenye tu, they're just docile, you know. Huyu wake hakuwa your type, alikuwa msumbufu. Mtoi aki anasumbua. Then this mama was coming in for a manicure, alikuwa anataka mani pedi, si ndio? So because alikuwa anasumbua sana, the shampoo girl, the lady mwenye anaoshanga watu nywele, akaambiwa achukue mtoi aende naye. And I got from the interaction, I got to understand this is something that she has done before because mtoi alikuwa anamjua. So they're already familiar, which means udema kikujanga mani pedi, shampoo girl ndikuwa anachukonga mtoi. So shampoo girl yuko nje akona mtoto, si ndio? Kidogo a client akaingia. Udem anataka aosho nywele ashukwe. So the owner of the salon, who's also a friend to this lady mwenye akona mtoi, akamrequest, please wacha basi chukua mtoto kana mtoi wako ndio shampoo girl akuja aoshe dem ndio udem anze kushukwa. Then saa zile udem akianza kushukwa, the shampoo girl will come and take your baby again. Do you know that mama was angry? Like, she was livid. Like, how dare you tell me to go take my baby and to wait for the shampoo girl to do the job that she's actually supposed to be doing. Unajua ki mama alichukua mtoto wake na akatoka. Akaenda, hata kumaliziwa, kutengezwa, alienda. Akasema ati wanamshow madharau, ati that is so much disrespect. And I was thinking, how is that disrespect? Like, job ya umdemu wa shampoo ni kuosha watu nywele. Anakushikia mtoi as a favor, not easy daycare. And this just also goes to show how some parents just disrespect people's businesses. Because ingekuwa this same mama was going to a bank. Hiyo siku alikuwa anaenda bank na alikuwa na mtoto. Mtakuniambia ngeenda bank alafu ambie one of those cashiers, we tell her, ebu nishikie mtoto nikuje nijaze hii form hapa. Angefanya hivyo. Of course angefanya hivyo. She would have found ways or found childcare, found someone to take care of the child so that she can rush to the bank and do the job. But because unazoeana, ama because you don't respect someone's business, expect the person that has been employed to do a certain job to actually not do that job and take care of your child. Why? Because I'm a customer and I'm also a mom.